Hello everybody, welcome back to another video for the day. Now we're going back into r/niceguys stories because it's been proven that you guys actually do like these storytime format videos, and if you want to see more of them, I need for you guys to continue to annihilate that like button. Alright, let's go. Our first story comes to us from username RedBloodIdiot.
I'm a nice guy. Who cares if I cheated?
Hello everyone, I was debating whether to post this or not, but here I am. So, this happened last year before this whole quarantine, and I can't forget it because I ended up regretting everything and crying. I'm sensitive ever since I was young, so I can't deal with heartbreak at the slightest without getting emotional. Anyways, I had this friend. Let's call him D. Now, D was my friend since 8th grade and was my only friend my freshman year in high school. Then, the beginning of sophomore year, he asked me out. I don't know how I didn't notice that he had 2 other girlfriends. One of them was my friend and the other was a girl that I barely knew except when they were ending their relationship because she said she didn't feel the spark, and D ended up calling her a tromp, slut, etc. And my dumb butt agreed to his offer. Totally regret it. Everything was good at first. We hung out, talked as much as we could. We only had 1 class together. I helped him in geometry, basically everything a good person does. Until this one day. It was Thursday and he wasn't there. I shrugged it off because he was always absent from school. In art, I sit at a table next to these 3 girls and they end up talking about D trying to get with other girls. Let's call her A. At first, I didn't believe it at first until one of the girls pulled out her phone and showed me A's Snapchat history. I read it and of course I started to become emotional. The girls comforted me, which I thanked them for doing. When the bell rang, I immediately rushed out the classroom and walked up to the main building since the art room is in a separate building. I really don't remember what happened after that, but I remember asking A about the situation since my class was with her. She said she knew we were together and that's why she posted it, to show how much of a dog he is. She then apologized to me and I accepted it because it really wasn't her fault. I don't really even remember going home after that day. D was finally at school the next day. Instead of dealing with him face to face, I hand him a note, basically indicating our breakup. I've never broken up with someone, but I felt greater after I handed him that note. I walked away to join my other friends, but he ended up chasing after me.
What do you mean it's over?
I explained to him about A's Snapchat story, how he knew my parents wouldn't allow me to have social media and thought he could get away with it. He then told me he was joking, knowing that no guy will ever love A and he was being friendly towards her. I then told him that you can't joke like that, it's wrong and it makes you look like a butthole. I basically ignored him after that. That weekend, my mom decided it would be best if I visit my brother since I've been so stressed and needed a break. During that time, I get a text on my phone, and it was no other than D. The conversation went something like this.
Hey,
what do you want now? Jeez, no need to be rude. Just leave me alone.
What did I do?
Are you joking? After all that, you still don't know what you did?
No.
You cheated on me and tried to hook up with A, remember now?
So what?
Huh?
I'm a nice guy. Who cares if I cheated? You'll never find a nice guy like me. You aren't even that pretty, Bart. Slut, go off yourself. Go jump off a bridge. The world would be a better place without you.
I ended up blocking his number and deleting the messages. I know, I'm stupid for deleting them, but I didn't want to look back at it. I basically haven't seen him ever since I got surgery, and let's hope it stays like that. Sorry if my story was boring and dumb, but I just wanted to get it off my chest. Thanks for taking your time on reading my story. This whole cheating thing really does kind of hit a sore spot for me, and I hope that you're doing okay. Just because, honestly, when people go back on an agreement in their relationship at the beginning, whether it be your monogamous, polyamorous, whatever the type of relationship is, you made an agreement in the beginning, and unless you talk about changing those rules, going against rules that have been set in the beginning is never a good thing. Our next story comes to us from username Slavic at the Disco, and honestly, I love that name. The Ballad of Mr. Struggle. Oh, so nice. My most recent nice guy story really pissed me off. So, I met this guy online on a dating app. I put it in quotation marks because this specific app isn't used for dating only, but also for meeting new people and finding friendships, which is what I was using it for exclusively. Anyway, so here comes the nice guy. Let's call him Mr. Struggle. We had similar tastes in music, and he worked at the same university I also worked for. I thought it would be great to meet someone new in town, so we started chatting first in the app and then moved on to Viber. Mr. Struggle, as you can imagine, struggled with finding his Mrs. Perfect. He was complaining about how hard the dating market is for guys, that all his dates fail because those girls are just choosing from several guys at once, i.e. going on dates with multiple people, and he's never their first choice. What a waste of time, so he said, and that he would never talk to multiple people at the same time. He's such a nice guy after all, and that other people are so shallow. Girls only pick handsome, muscular dudes, he said. Side note, Mr. Struggle was actually quite good looking and athletic, but you can't fix your personality in the gym. Even though my profile specified I'm not looking for dates or any kinds of relationship, he got a little upset when I said it to him directly and refused to go on a date. I guess I was the only one he was talking to at the time, so I guess now I was a waste of time for him. However, I said that we can be friends and hang out as friends, and he seemed very happy about that. We never ended up meeting in person, thank goodness, but would chat from time to time. When we did chat, Mr. Struggle would complain about his dating struggles. He was extremely unhappy with his next victim, who went on like 3 dates with him, nothing happened between them, and then realized she's not over her ex-boyfriend. He was furious, calling her a barge, etc. I told him that actually she was honest with him. Things like this happen and it's outside of his control. It literally had nothing to do with him, but he kept on raging how she wasted his time. Like, why would she be on a dating app if she isn't over her ex? I told him yet again that perhaps she was trying to move on, but then realized it's too early and told him honestly about her feelings. He wasn't convinced. But that wasn't the only date Mr. Struggle struggled to keep. The next time he complained about a girl with whom he went out once, they got along well, also had similar music taste. He was supposed to fly on vacation somewhere and wanted to see her one more time before that. She did want to see him too, but on that day they were supposed to confirm their date, she wouldn't respond until late evening. Once again, he was furious and calling her names. I told him that perhaps something has happened to her. Did he ever consider that a possibility? Well, he didn't. Turned out she had trouble at work, she said, so she could only get back to him in the evening. I don't know whether that's true, but he didn't believe her at all. He was raging, yet again talking about how she wasted his time and that she should stick to her promises. I told him that she doesn't really owe him anything at this point, but he started to insult me in return. But it gets better. At the time, I was severely depressed, near suicidal. I didn't physically self-harm, but I was drinking and partying excessively for a short period of time, which is completely out of character for me. I also happened to have casual socks with a guy, I'll call him Mr. Poet, I barely knew on 2 separate occasions. Note, this is completely out of character for me, and personally I don't find it pleasant, but I'm not judging anyone who actually likes casual socks. I felt really bad when I came back to my senses. This was a harmful experience, but a good lesson learned. So I don't know how we ended up talking about casual relationships with Mr. Struggle, but for some reason I shared that story with him. Oh, I've never seen him so furious. Basically, he got angry at me because he wasn't the one I've casually had socks with. I'll explain. I told him that I'm extremely serious when it comes to relationships, and socks is reserved for a person I would love, not random people. We are all human, however, and I did make a mistake like this. Again, this is just personal, no judgment for those who enjoy casual socks. In response, he said that I'm basically fake, that I lied to him about what a good girl I was. I said that I only cared about personality, yet I ended up sleeping with a cute guy. How dare I? Although, to be honest, I ended up with Mr. Poet because he liked poetry. His looks were secondary. I told him to calm down. Things like this happen, but Mr. Struggle said, "No, these things never happen to him. He can never get a girl, let alone a model." I do modeling as a hobby. "But handsome dongheads always do. If girls aren't shallow, then why don't I want anything to do with him? Why?" Also, he told me that since I ended up having socks with Mr. Poet twice, this wasn't a mistake. This was a tendency. Wow, just wow. I blocked him afterwards since he didn't want to apologize for his behavior. Legends say Mr. Struggle is still struggling to figure out what went wrong. Yeah, his thought process kind of seems like trying to find clothes at the soup store. You're just not in the right area. Our last story comes to us from username Lean for Life. I'm a guy with a nice guy dad. I'm 28 now, and it took me years to realize this, but I've come to this understanding over time because it wasn't able to fully verbalize and understand what it was. Just a little background, I grew up in a moderately religious, but other than that, a pretty normal household with 4 kids, 3 girls, and I was the youngest boy in the family. I was always super close to my dad growing up, and we did everything together, and by all accounts, he was actually a really great dad that loved his kids. Looking back now, I realized we were all pretty sheltered, probably due to the religious influence in our lives, but it was all well intended. Me and my dad started to grow apart as I got into high school, and I could sense he was struggling with the fact that I was growing up, but he would still make comments to me about how he was trying to preserve my innocence and keep me from being negatively impacted by the cruel and dark world outside. He was always nice and encouraging, but there was always a dark undertone that the world was always out to get you, and there was no getting ahead in life, which really started to upset me, and I started to form that belief after having it peppered into the advice I got my whole life. I struggled to get along with him, and most of my family started to resent how I acted towards him as I got older. I wasn't mean, but didn't really engage and tried my best to be cordial with him. My senior year, I was at a party and got busted and was arrested for alcohol possession. Yeah, just stupid high school stuff. And he made a comment to me that stuck with me to this day. He said that basically because of my last name, I will have bad luck throughout life and should avoid taking any risks because it will end badly, which I think is one of the worst pieces of advice you can give someone. Over the years, he continued to play the victim in every scenario, and I do my best just to ignore it, but deep down, it's always been there. I was probably considered a nice guy, having bloomed later than most and held some resentment towards women for a period of time, though never went too far down that path. I've learned to accept him for who he is, but I always wished he changed so we could have a better relationship, and it's hard to talk to someone else about it because they only see that I'm pushing away from such a nice guy, which never helped the situation. I just don't know any other people in my situation, so I thought I'd share my side. Therapy, meditation, and moving away from the area have helped me cope over these years, and I'm happy to say that I'm in a pretty good place now. And with that, that is going to have to be it with the video. I know this is a shorter one of those story time format videos, but hopefully you guys enjoy it all the same. If you would like to support the channel and in future videos, be sure to slam the like button, leave a comment down below what you liked about the video, and if you have not already, subscribe and turn on those notifications. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.